lawyers and students for over a decade. I have taught for the Florida Prosecuting Attorneys Association. I've lectured at the Sarasota County Bar Association, the Manatee County Bar Association. I was a frequent guest lecturer at the University of South Florida for over a decade, explaining to students once a semester about the operations of the state attorney's office. I also taught at the Law Enforcement Academy at Manatee Technical College and had occasion to help train the police officers who serve our community. I was also an adjunct instructor at State College of Florida, teaching both criminal law and criminal procedure, and I did that from 2011 through 2015, shortly after I was sworn in. I mentioned my service in the Supreme Court Jury Instruction Committee. What that gave me was a unique perspective to see how the jury instructions that our jurors rely upon are created. Frequently, cases are reversed by appellate courts because the jurors were wrongly instructed on the law. I had the good fortune to help create instructions that hopefully, based upon their subsequent approval by the Supreme Court, will provide better guidance to our jurors. I've been an educator teaching lawyers. The Florida Prosecuting Attorneys Association is the largest organization that teaches lawyers in the state. I was on its education committee. I helped select guest speakers and was a frequent guest speaker as well. I also served on the grievance committee for the 12th Circuit, meaning when lawyers encountered legal problems because they were violating ethical rules of Florida statutes, I presided over those proceedings and made recommendations to the Florida Bar. Ironically, now as a judge, I'm involved in the next step where I am the bar referee appointed by the Supreme Court to hear the disciplinary proceedings against lawyers. So I continued in that over my years. I've been involved in motion practice, not only as a lawyer, but as a judge. I've heard literally hundreds of motion hearings while on the bench. So I have the qualifications both from being a lawyer and then from being a judge.
Well, obviously I'm not a judge, so I don't have any judicial experience, but we all have to start somewhere. I do represent people. I have civil and criminal litigation experience. I have appellate work experience. I have federal work experience. I deal with people on a daily basis that choose me over other attorneys to represent them. As a government attorney, government attorneys don't have that. They don't represent people. And I think being able to represent people in different areas makes for a well-rounded person on the bench.
Okay. You guys are doing incredibly great. Thank you very much. My wife is smiling. That's a good sign. Are you familiar with the legal theory of original intent? Explain it and explain its alternative. And if you're allowed, which do you prefer? 2 minutes.
All right. Original intent, and I would consider myself a originalist, or maybe more accurately a textualist, focuses on the law as it's written. And specifically, what did that language mean at the time it was written to those in that community? An originalist or a textualist doesn't try to read the minds of what the legislators wanted to do or what outcome they hoped for, nor does one say, well, that law is outdated, so I'll substitute different words because time has passed. The originalist has high respect for separation of powers, which means the legislative branch writes the law, the executive branch enforces the law, and the judicial branch simply interprets the law. The judicial branch calls the balls and the strikes. So the opposite of being an originalist to me would be an activist, a judge who believes that part of the judge's role is forming policy. And if I wanted to be a policymaker, I would pursue the legislative branch. But I'm not a policymaker, I am a judge. So for policy, you go to a different branch of government altogether, but I know to stay in my lane as a judge, and that's why I am an originalist.
This may be shocking. I largely agree. And to talk about my brevity, I apologize. I have my kids here, and it was unexpected, and they make me nervous. I don't want to throw their French fries on anyone, so I'm trying to keep an eye. So I apologize. I An originalist is someone who believes that words have meanings, and that's it. We're not going beyond the four corners of the document. What's the alternative? A non-originalist, an activist. What do I prefer? I believe in that document. It's not a changing document. I am an originalist. I think that's much better than strict constructionism, actually.
Okay, moving on. Ignorance of the law is no excuse, but even judges have to look up the law, so how do you expect the police to enforce the law or the people to follow it?